My name is Abdur Razzak. I am from Perth, born in Perth, grew up here in Perth. I grew up in a Christian family, but I was always thinking of something different when I was small. I used to live over here in Queen's Park, not far from where the Canning Masjid is situated. I used to walk down the road there with my sister back in the 50s, and we used to look at the sky and we'd see the stars and we'd say, whoever created the stars is so great. And that is how I went through my life. I was not that interested in religion, but I did believe that there was a God. Then as my lifetime went through, I was working all over the place, up in the country, and I joined the army back in 1963. I joined the army for 6 years. My army life took me to Malaysia. When I was in Malaysia, I became an interpreter. And I used to work amongst the villages. I used to take a doctor, and sometimes we used to go out with the padre. First one was to help treat sick people. The second one was that you touch on the Christian religion. I was there and I used to look and wonder that the people there in Malaysia, the Muslim, they had a very close, harmonized life. They were so close that it reminded me of my childhood when I was living in the country. But as time went by, this style of life left me. And I could see this life reappearing again amongst these village people. And I used to wonder, what are we doing here for? Why are we trying to change these people from what they have got in Islam? Love, affection, kindness. And we are trying to introduce something to them which we cannot even understand ourselves. So then as time went by in learning the Malay language, there was a man in Malaysia and he gave me a small booklet. And it was about the soul, the journey of the soul. I used to look at it, but being a soldier, I had other interests which was not very even good to talk about. So as I read the book, touched on little bit by little bit, I came back to Australia, and then I went to Vietnam. My job in Vietnam was as a salt pioneer. I used to learn to act with explosives. I used to work in the tunnels. I was an infantier. And as soon as we had a tunnel complex, my job was then to put in charges and blow the tunnels, go down the tunnels, see if there's anything in there, and I was the section commander. One day we was working and there was a New Zealand army, they hit a big bunker system, big tunnel system. And my section was called up to bring resupply of ammunition. So when I got up there was a person beside me who was brought beside me, and there was quite a lot of fire going on. And I said to him, we have to get out of here. I touched that person and he fell in front of me and he had 3 bullet holes in the chest. I looked at that person and he looked so young. He was a person from New Zealand. His name was Donnie Benziman. I looked at him and I thought, now here's a man who looks so young, so strong, but this life has been taken. This road that I'd read about in this book when it was given to me in Malaysia. So after serving there, and also we had to winch the bodies out. My job was to cut a hole in the canopy of the jungle. They brought in a helicopter. We had to harness the body up and they used to winch it out. And as the body was winching out, it was swaying and I could feel fluid coming on me. I used to have nightmares about this and it used to play in my mind. But I could not take my mind off of what I'd read in that book about the spirit, the soul of man. So I came back to Australia, took my discharge from the army, and at that time I did not know anything that there was Islam in Perth. When I was a kid, I grew up in a place called East Perth. There was a mosque down the road. I used to play around that mosque, but I did not know at that time. I used to poke my head in the door and give cheek to the people sitting at the back of the mosque, but I did not know that it was a mosque. All I could see was some of these funny men sitting there with beards, and I think they were some of the Afghans in the early days. And I used to make fun of them. Never knowing one day that I'd finish up in that mosque praying, but it was great. Allah gives hidayah to whoever He wishes. So when I went back into Malaysia to embrace Islam, I had to learn to read Quran. I went to a place and I sat with children and they taught me in Malay, alif di atas a, alif di bawah e, alif depan u, a, e, u, and I learnt the alphabet. Then I came back to Australia after about 3 months in 1969, and I used to sit at night time with a candle till 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to join these letters, how to read Quran. At that time I found out where the mosque was, but there was nobody in the mosque. We used to go for Jum'at, sometimes we'd only pray Zuhur because there was not enough people. This did not worry me at the time. As I gradually learned to read Quran, I did not know I was reading it correctly or not because there was no ustaz, there was no teacher or anything. I was doing it on my own. Then I started looking into the Quran in the translation. And it dawned on me that this Islam, what a great thing it would be for the people here. Also for all mankind. But I was thinking of the people here, because this is where I was from. This is where I originated from in my lifetime. And I used to think, it is such a nice law if it is brought to the people properly. It is fair, it is just. It is harsh, but its harshness is what people do harsh to the people. And sometimes if a law is implemented properly, I used to realize that people would do no sin because they would fear Allah. And it would, the wickedness would come less. So I used to think, how can this message be brought to the people? And I got involved in different movements. There was a movement came here in 1974. It was called Tabligh Jama'at. I went to India for 4 months to learn how to invite people, to approach people. I had a misconception with this work because it is saying that you go to your own backyard first. You clean up your own backyard. And I do understand that we have to love our brothers, because it is said that you have not Iman until you desire for your brothers what you desire for yourself. And I got involved of going around knocking on the doors of the Muslim brothers, inviting them to come to the mosque. There was 3 of us used to do this work. But then it seemed to come as a stop. We wasn't reaching out to all people. There were some people embracing Islam because they've seen our actions. But there was still something lacking. I thought if we could implement the Islamic law into a society, the laws of if a person gets raped, if a person steals, if they commit bad things against the society, by introducing the Islamic law to the people, this would go less. But to me, this was hard work, and it would be a work of abuse. You'd get so much problems, and maybe I was not ready with the strength to take on this job, because I found by even going to Muslim brothers, I used to get insulted. To say, Alhamdulillah, we believe in the kalima la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Inshallah, brothers, come to the mosque so we can pray together in Jama'at to receive 27 times more reward. And they used to say, go away, we're not interested in this. And I thought, why aren't we as Muslims interested anymore in this? I think it was because there's an amount of shyness that I've come to live in a different society, so I have to give everything up. And I have to join the society that I come to live. I could never think like that. I was Muslim, I was living amongst my own people, it was non-Muslim, but I was not going to give up what I believed in. And I've always been that way, even before I was Muslim. If I believed in something, I was committed to it. But when it became to me that it was weak, then its basis became weak. When I embraced Islam, I fully embraced Islam. I could see the beauty of Islam. I could see the beauty of the way of life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I was listening to the radio the other day, and there was a doctor came on the radio, and I called my son in. This doctor was saying about the heart. He said, we discovered that if you lay on your right-hand side, it is better for the heart because it's not putting pressure onto the heart. We are taught this in Islam. When you go to sleep, you lay on your right-hand side, you have your hand underneath your head. We have known this for years, but because we have gone to sleep, or we don't know how to convey this message to people. Another thing, I am talking now right down to the grit of Islam. When a Muslim uses the toilet, he goes there and he's got a certain toilet made in a certain way so he can relieve himself properly. And then we wash ourselves with water. And then we clean our hands. Before I was Muslim, I used paper. I never cleaned myself properly. Now this can cause a certain amount of diseases. Another thing I found that when I was a baby, if I dirtied myself, my mother would wash me to make sure I was clean. But they never taught me how to look after myself. So I didn't worry about water. When a person gets old and is in hospital, when he does his business, we have to wash him to clean him. Again, we've gone back to what we were doing when we were children. And to me, this is the great source of hygiene. But again, we have let it go. When we should be introducing it here more strongly. If we have faith in something, complete faith, we're committed to it, we will spread Islam because Allah will know that we are sincere, that we really want to spread Islam, that the people will see the goodness of Islam. But nowadays the media is putting Muslim in such a bad manner that even ourselves, we become very shaky. We become very nervous to talk about Islam. They'll say Islam is this, you're bad, you're this bad. We have to stand up and protect our Islam. Not to say that if a person is doing something really bad, that we have to protect him even if he is Muslim. We have to go and help him, to stop him. And this is what our people don't understand. So they also now are hiding themselves from Islam. Some of them don't want to be known as Islam. And this is what I don't understand. When a man becomes like this with weakness, there is something wrong with this man spiritually. I'll give you an example. I went to work in a hospital. I worked in a hospital for quite some years. There was a Muslim boy came to me and he said, "Brother, can you get me a job?" I said, "Inshallah, if God wills, I'll get you a job." I went and seen the boss and he said, "Look, he's Muslim like you, he's welcome." When I met this brother, he told me his name, Muslim name. I got him the job there. One morning we was eating. I went up to him and I said to him, "Ibrahim, why don't you come and eat with us because this table, they have mixture of pork and all this sort of stuff." He said, "No. My name is not Ibrahim. My name is Michael." I said, "Astaghfirullah. You tell me you're Ibrahim." "No, I'm Michael." There's another Muslim brother there said, "See what happens? You help them, get them a job. They say they're Muslim, but when they come and mix in with society, they change." I cannot agree with this no matter who it is, and I will not agree with it. Because this is not the way to spread Islam. A Muslim has the right in his hand, he has the haqq, he has the truth. He has the best way of life. There's a part in the Quran where it says, "Kuntum khara ummatin ukhrijat linnas." You are the best people. Why? Because you're sent to mankind. Some of the Arabs say this can be, you were the best people. You were the best, not you are the best people. You were the best people. Why? Because we've left da'wah. We have left inviting people to Islam. We have come into a society, we've melted into the society, we've taken their ways, we've taken their way of life, we enjoy being with them. Even some of us enjoy being with them with their alcohol. Even some of us enjoy being with their drugs. And it is said in a hadith that whoever you live with, whatever you act like, that is who you're going to be raised with on the day of judgment. So if we live with the kuffar, the disbelievers, and we act like a disbeliever, or if we live with the people who are non-Muslim and we act like non-Muslim, that is who we are going to be raised up with. There's no ifs and buts. Before I embraced Islam, and when I came back from the Vietnam War, I was a very heavy drinker. I used to get picked up in the streets in Perth, chucked in a paddy van, or police wagon, and taken home. I woke up one morning and I remembered about the Islam in Malaysia, and I thought to myself, I'm killing myself. I'm killing myself through alcohol. The day I embraced Islam, I stopped drinking. In Malaysia, I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. So when I came back to Australia, I thought, well, I could be tempted again, but no, you have to work on faith. You have to work on Iman, and I did. So I kept away from the alcohol. There's temptation put in front of me every day. My friends are Vietnam veterans. They like to drink. I used to go to their dudes and say, aren't you drinking? And I said, no, I don't drink. I knew that even mixing with them, it was wrong. But I thought my intention is not to mix with them and drink. My intention is to mix with them and give dawah. This is my intention. So I used to find that I used to go into different groups of Vietnam veterans, and I used to work amongst them, but in a different way I'd give dawah. And I found by giving them dawah, it affected me. I was getting the benefits of giving dawah. And this is what I felt. Yeah, I never lost my family. My family was always there. But I was the one who isolated my family. They didn't isolate me. I'll never say this against my family. I isolated them. I didn't want to be with them. I didn't want to mix with them. Why? They ate pork in their house. They had a dog in the backyard. It was difficult for me to pray. So I wouldn't have nothing to do with them. Until I shifted up into a place called Katanning, the other side of Perth, and I was working up there. And one day a knock came on my door, and my brother was there and my sister. They only lived a short way from Katanning. They said to me, what is wrong with you? You do not come and see us anymore. You have nothing to do with us anymore. Why is that? I said, because I'm Muslim. You see, they was proud in being Muslim. But I think my pride was wrong. I didn't want to associate with them anymore. They said, look, why is it that you won't come then? I said, number one, you eat pork in your house. You have bacon. I cannot eat that. Number two, you have a dog in your backyard. I don't want that dog to lick my children. I don't want the dog to lick me. Number three, we pray 5 times a day. So it is difficult. They said, look, let us look at this like this. You bring your own meat. We'll put a place in the back for you. We'll lock up our dog. So I took the step and I took my family up there. And then I started realizing how much they appreciated me. I didn't appreciate them. They appreciated me because they knew before when I was drinking how wild I used to be. And they said, there's so much change in you. You are a different person. I said, yes, alhamdulillah, because of Islam. Nobody had to make me stop drinking. Nobody had to make me to go to AAA, Alcoholic Anonymous. No. There was an inbred fear of Allah that has stopped me from drinking. Now my family, we are close. I pray to Allah that Allah will give them guidance to become Muslim. I pray so much that inshaAllah, if they would become Muslim, I'd feel so happy in the heart. Because if I want paradise, I want the people near me to be in paradise. If I don't want them to enter paradise, I'm on the wrong way of thinking in Islam. I am the one who thinks I can condemn people. I want paradise, but they go to hell. Astaghfirullah, may Allah forgive me. And this is how I was introduced back into my family. They come to my house now. I go to their house. They make sure they get the proper food to me. I make sure I get the proper food. Because there's one thing I found with my family, you be straightforward. You talk to them straight. You don't hide and say, look, I'm Muslim, but this and that. No, I am Muslim, that's it. I have my way. You accept me as I am. That is good, and I'll accept you as you are. Inshallah, one day you'll become Muslim. But I pray to Allah that I'll never go back to what I was. So as the years went by, I felt so much love and yearning for mankind. I didn't want to say this person was that religion, no, mankind. I see them living, when you even hear this Mr. Bush talking on the television, I feel like crying because a man is so misguided. If only Allah would give this man guidance, then he'd realize what he's doing. But we have to be so strong in our dua to Allah that all these misguided people one day will be Muslim. We cannot condemn them. I cannot condemn my family. I don't want to condemn my family. I want them to be Muslim, inshallah. So this is how I found I had to fit back into society. I can go out and I can abuse people, and what happens? They run away from you. I got taught by, when I was young in Islam, I got taught by a Muslim person who came here in Dawah, in a Tabligh Dawah. He said to me, a bee has two main features. One is the bee produces honey, which is very, very sweet. Two, it produces a sting, which makes you sick. He said, this is the tongue of man. If we use it wrong, it is like the sting of a bee. If we use it right, it is like the sweetness of honey. We draw people. And this is how a Muslim has to fit in this world. He has to be a draw card for the people. We have the right way. We have the way to paradise. We believe in the oneness of Allah. We believe in the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his ways. So we have to put these ways into action. It's no good talking about them. It's no good reading about them if we're not going to fulfill its obligation. By going out to the people and saying, hello, how are you? Greeting them with a smile. But sometimes because maybe we're young, we have not accepted Islam properly, we become angry with people. So if they say anything against us, we become rebuked, we become angry, and we come back with them in anger. No. No. The only time, if we take action, it is if a person is going to harm my family, I have to stand to protect. If I was given the choice now, I would still like Allah to have control of my life. That I would not be born Muslim. Because there is a saying that everybody is born Muslim. They are born pure, fitra. This is clean. So we're all born Muslim. Then we are changed by our parents when they christen us, make us to what religion they wish. I would not want my life to go any different because I've experienced both. And if I had not experienced something bad, I would not know how to invite them to good. The people are not bad, but the doctrine is misleading. The Christian doctrine is misleading. They're not bad people. This is why they do so many good actions. They do good deeds. But because their doctrine has misled them, they're not doing it for the pleasure of Allah or the pleasure of the God. No, I would not like to be born Muslim if I grew up as I see some of our born Muslims have grown up. I would like to have the experience of being a non-Muslim, living my life as I did, and then embracing Islam because of the experience. So that is all I can say now.
Muhammad is and always will be the